This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
I quoted the Trilateral Commission view of the educational system, namely it's a system of indoctrination of the young. And I think that's correct. It's a system of indoctrination of the young. That was the way the liberal elites regard it, and they're more or less accurate. So the educational system is supposed to train people to be obedient, conformist, not think too much, do what you're told, stay passive, don't cause any crises of democracy, don't raise any questions.
Terror, terrorism, terror, 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 terrorist, 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 terror. Chemical and biological attacks. Poisons, deadly gases, the biological or chemical weapon instruments of terror, the instruments of mass death, and weapons of mass destruction. Technology, biological, or chemical, or a nuclear weapon. Thanks for coming.
But tonight, because of what we did on this day, in this election, at this defining moment, change has come to America.
Politics in America. Here it is, right here. I think the puppet on the right shares my beliefs. I think the puppet on the left is more to my liking. Hey, wait a minute. There's one guy holding up both puppets. Shut up. Go back to bed, America. Your government is in control.
But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The big, the wealthy, the real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. They're irrelevant. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right.
The basic problem is that we are living in a virtual reality. We're living in a totally controlled environment, an environment that has been created by mass media. Now, many people, especially young people, accept unquestioningly the reality that is presented by the media. Popular culture, movies, television, music, carry messages about how society works and how people should behave. And so entertainment is not value-free. It has ideological content. It presents a worldview that influences the people who watch the programming.
You've been living in a dream world, Neo. This is the world as it exists today.
It seems you either hate it or you've never heard of it. One of the world's most secretive meetings is taking place in Spain this year, and the heat hasn't dissuaded the protesters from turning out. They rallied under banners reading "Enough Slavery" and Bilderberg Group, secret rulers of the world.
They're the people that make all the money in the world, so guess who really runs our government, people? It's those with the money that run it. So when you elect people, they don't really run the country. In this country now, the Federal Reserve runs our country.
Here is we are spending our years voting in local and general elections, and this arrogant bunch are choosing our party leaders. So it almost doesn't matter which way we vote, we still find that this secret artificial consensus, which is cooked up at these Bilderberg meetings, spreads out around the world.
That your case for the war was a pack of lies.
That the real decisions are being made at globalist meetings like the Bilderberg Group. And
HAARP is being used for weather modification. The military's own record proves it. They've admitted it within their own documents, and yet they still deny it to the public.
Regarding weapons of mass destruction and the idea of generating earthquakes artificially, weapons of mass destruction and the idea of generating earthquakes artificially.
Venezuelan leader Hugo Chavez has once again accused the United States of playing God. But this time it's Haiti's disastrous earthquake that he thinks the U.S. was behind. Spanish newspaper ABC quotes Chavez as saying that the U.S. Navy launched a weapon capable of inducing a powerful earthquake off the shore of Haiti.
15 years ago, 10 years ago was where I thought, okay, crazy territory. It's not. The Fed is a big, if not the main cancer in the system.
Senator, in everything I said about Iraq, I turned out to be right and you turned out to be wrong. And 100,000 people have paid with their lives. 1,600 of them American soldiers sent to their deaths on a pack of lies. 15,000 of them wounded, many of them disabled forever on a pack of lies.
We're joined at this one big table at the Bilderberg conference by the leading representatives of world media such as New York Times, Washington Post, and the fact that you have 120 of these mammoth representatives in one room, and the fact that the press never ever reports on them until my book came out, by itself is astonishing.
My government's never lied to me, have they? Let's see, where should we start? The Gulf of Tonkin incident? Now that took us into war in Vietnam. They've now admitted it was a lie. So 58,000 of my generation were killed based upon a lie. But that doesn't count, does it?
What does that have to do with 9/11?
That shows that we will lie to go to war.
Is the evidence in the Twin Towers and the third skyscraper to collapse that day, which most people don't know anything about it. We have the evidence of the 10 key features of controlled demolition. In the case of Building 7, it collapses straight down into its own footprint at free fall speed in the first 100 feet. It's dropping, as you can see, symmetrically, smoothly, at free fall speed in the first 100 feet, 2.5 seconds. This is uncanny. There's 40,000 tons of structural steel designed to resist this collapse.
That your case for the war was a pack of lies.
The U.S. military says HAARP is merely being used to study the physical and electrical properties and behavior of the ionosphere for both civilian and defense purposes. The intense energy being beamed into the sky by HAARP is actually heating up the atmosphere, causing weather changes.
Leads the Bilderberg Group, which unites some of the world's most powerful people, has been meeting behind closed doors for decades.
What about going down to Nicaragua and intentionally giving syphilis to 300 to 400 people so we could see if penicillin worked?
That we know about. What about Operation Northwoods?
Well,
tell us about what the military wanted JFK to do in Miami in order to get rid of Castro.
Well, the military wanted to use our CIA and the Joint Chiefs wanted to use our CIA and military to attack certain parts of the United States and make it look like Castro did it so that the country would get up in arms and support an invasion of Cuba.
Why wouldn't it like wiggle and collapse towards where it got jacked? It just seems like a controlled demolition. That bothers me.
Type in Operation Northwoods and see what you come up with. And as you read what Operation Northwoods was, as laid out in government documents, as you discover what the Joint Chiefs of Staff in the great and good United States of America circa 1961-62 had in mind for its own citizens, once you read that, and compare it chapter and verse to what happened on September 11, 2001, if you don't see that the official story of 9/11 is a goddamn lie, if you don't see that, then go back to sleep.
And the idea was to have U.S. personnel from the CIA and other places secretly create terrorism in the United States. The documents actually said people would be shot on American streets, bombs would be blown up. And again, all this, the evidence would be laid to point the finger at Castro.
And by the way, the Federal Reserve is no more federal than Federal Express. It's a private company. What they're doing is these are the people that caused the problem are now being asked to fix it. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. It's an illusion.
Should be the proper relationship between a chairman of the Fed and a president of the United States.
Well, I don't think it's good policy for the president or a president-elect to second-guess the Fed.
Well, first of all, the Federal Reserve is an independent agency.
Which is an independent body.
Is an independent agency.
Which is an independent body.
Is an independent agency.
Which is an independent body.
And that means basically that there is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take.
I don't think it's good policy for the president or a president-elect to second-guess the Fed.
So long as that is in place and there is no evidence that the administration or the Congress or anybody else is requesting that we do things other than what we think is the appropriate thing, then what the relationships are don't frankly matter.
you trying to tell me? That I can dodge bullets?
No, Neo. I'm trying to tell you that when you're ready, you won't have to.
And I wasn't born Richard Alpert. I was just born as a human being. And then I learned this whole business of who I am and whether I'm good or bad or achieving or not. All that's learned along the way.
I said, empty your mind.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
And the mind is completely tired.
Too many minds. Too many minds?
To rise above the noise of the background.
No mind.
So when a conversation starts in your mind, you just stop.
I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water.
Light clusters called photons travel from the object to the eye and pass through the eye lens, where they are refracted and focus on the retina at the back of the eye. Here, rays are turned into electrical signals and then transmitted by neurons to the center of vision at the back of the brain. The act of seeing actually takes place in this center in the brain.
We believe what we see, and then we believe our interpretation of it. We don't even know we're making an interpretation most of the time. We think this is reality.
Your brain doesn't know the difference between what's taking place out there and what's taking place in here.
This isn't real.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
That the way you think creates reality for yourself.
Good is not an accident, but something you create with your attitudes.
You don't have to change circumstances out there. All you've got to do is look within and see if you can change yourself for the better. And as you change, things will start to change for you.
But when you decide what's most important to you, your brain goes after it.
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve.
Everything really does begin with you.
I've always believed in positive thinking. A negative mental attitude can bring you nothing but failure.
Because limits, like fears, are often just an illusion.
Because when you argue for your limitations, you get defeated.
You have to let it all go, man. Fear, doubt, disbelief, free.
If you think you have an incurable disease, if you think it yourself, you are right. If you think your problem is curable, then you are also right.
There was a study in Houston of some patients going through a knee operation for arthritis. Half actually went through an operation where they were worked on for their arthritis. The other half were given a sham operation where they just opened the knee and then closed it and did nothing. They found over 3 years of follow-up that both sets of patients reported having no pain. So the patients where nothing was done to them still reported being pain-free. Their arthritis was gone.
1/3 of all healings has nothing to do with the process, but has to do with the placebo effect. That a person believes that the process is going to heal them and heals themselves in spite of the fact that maybe the pill was a sugar pill or the operation was just a sham and wasn't real.
And it turns out that it's actually our beliefs that select our genes and select our behavior.
When we get issues running in families, for example, cancer, we immediately look at a genealogy chart and mark all the recipients of this cancer running through the family and then turn around and say, look, genetics, this is running in the family, so there must be cancer genes. What they've left out of this very interesting piece of research that reveals that when children are adopted into families that have cancer, the adopted children will express the cancer with the same propensity as any natural child in that family. But the interesting fact is the child comes from totally different genetics that doesn't even have that cancer. So it says being introduced into the family dynamics, which is where you learn perceptions and beliefs and attitudes, is what shapes the cancer, not the genetics that somebody came in with.
Our thoughts create our body moment by moment.
That 1 minute of anger weakens the immune system for 4 to 5 hours. Wow. 1 minute of anger. And 1 minute of laughter boosts your immune system for over 24 hours.
Happiness, which is an internal state of euphoria, actually changes your brain chemistry. You make things like dopamine, which is an antidepressant, serotonin, which increases your self-esteem, opiates, which make you feel high and intoxicated, and oxytocin, which give you the experience of pleasure.
Strong negative emotions just degenerate us. Positive emotional states regenerate us. Become simple math. Feel more love, more care, more appreciation, and your health's got a better chance of improving and staying that way.
A thought is an actual physical energy.
Our thoughts, our feelings, our dreams, our ideas are physical in the universe.
The heart has its own intrinsic nervous system, which can sense, feel, remember, and process information that's independent from the brain.
We always think of the information input system as being entirely in the brain. But we're now discovering information that the heart receives information first and then relays it to the brain.
When the heart's rhythmic beating pattern is smooth and ordered, it's called a coherent rhythm. And that coherent rhythm entrains or synchronizes the brain rhythm, the nervous system, the bodily organs and glands, all dance in harmony to that heart coherent rhythm.
Now this is important because we've always been taught that the brain is where the action is. The brain has an electrical field, it does have a magnetic field, but they're relatively weak compared to the heart. The heart is about 100 times stronger electrically and up to 5,000 times stronger, 5,000 times stronger magnetically than the brain. And the reason this is important is because the physical world as we know it is made of those two fields of energy, electrical and magnetic fields of energy, electromagnetic fields. Our own physics books now tell us if we can change either the magnetic field of an atom or the electrical field of the atom, by doing that we literally change that atom. We change the stuff that our bodies in this world are made of. The Western scientists now acknowledge the fact, and it is a fact, that we are bathed in a field of intelligent energy. It's everywhere all the time. It's not out there. It's inside of me. It's inside of you. We connect with it. The language of human emotion and thought and feeling and belief, those kinds of words describe the language that allows us to communicate with this field.
What we are in here, we externally create. There is no out there, independent of what's going on in here.
We're not in this field, we are this field.
What's external is internal. What's internal is external.
So everything that exists is everything that exists. I am everything that exists. So are you.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.
It has to start somewhere. It has to start sometime. What better place than here? What better time than now?
Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds.
1, 2, 3, 4. America, I have a dream. Everybody talks about flagging, 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 flagging. This is the flagging.
The peace for all men and women. Not merely peace in our time, but peace in all time.
You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful.
So we're saying give peace a chance, you know, like nobody's ever done it before. And it's not a matter of, we're not thinking in terms of 10 years, we're thinking in terms of peace forever, you know. And everybody's talking about now. I want peace now. We can get peace now if we want it now. And the left wing talk about giving the power to the people. You know, anybody knows that the people have the power. All we have to do is awaken the power in the people. The people are unaware. It's like they're not educated to realize that they have power.